For the first time ever, a chaplain was asked to speak to the Senior Management Committee of the Ministry of the Solicitor General. On December 16, 2020, I represented my fellow provincial prison chaplains at this meeting of the SMC to talk about what we do as chaplains. Here are some slides from that presentation. According to the Institutional Services Policy and Procedures Manual, the provision of spiritual and religious care to inmates is normally the role and responsibility of the institutional chaplain. According to the Institutional Services Policy and Procedures Manual, this is the definition of a chaplain. The role of the institution's chaplain is a spiritual coordinator, which includes providing spiritual and religious services to inmates, their families and staff, coordinating special activities, liaising with local faith communities to establish and maintain programs, and representing chaplaincy on institutional committees. That's a lot for one person to do. Sometimes it feels like this. Instead of summing up the policy manual, which I think is inmate-focused and misses all the other things that we do as chaplains, let me speak from my almost 31 years of experience at the Ottawa-Carleton Detention Centre. Here is a 5-point overview of what we do as chaplains. Number 1, client-related activity. 2, staff-related activity. 3, supervision. 4, administration. 5, miscellaneous. The first aspect of what we do as chaplains is client-related activity. This breaks down into 2 parts, indirect contact and direct contact. Under indirect contact, we have referrals by phone and email, requests, and that involves gathering them, logging them, triaging for the highest need to be dealt with first, and then responding to the requests. List preparation, update religious diet list or sheet, smudge list, program preparation and aftermath, updating records, research, email referrals. Under direct contact, we do one-on-one work and group work with clients. The second aspect of what we do as chaplains is staff-related activity. And to be clear, when I say staff, I mean union members and management. Again, staff-related activity can be broken down into 2 parts. The first one is indirect contact, and that's receiving emails or sending emails, messages left on voicemail. The second is direct contact, one-on-one, in person, and to chat or as we deliver religious materials, when we're rounding up clients for programs, when we attend a meeting, when there's a request for information or referrals, or the privilege of doing counseling with staff members. One-on-ones by phone for counseling or responding to requests, providing information or receiving referrals or making referrals. And the third part is group work. The third aspect of what we do as chaplains is supervision. Without the following 3 groups specified in the Volunteer Services section of the Policy and Procedures Manual, the Chaplaincy Department would be unable to fulfill its mandate. We have accredited volunteers, and they are people who have satisfied the formal requirements for being a correctional services volunteer and provide services on an ongoing and regularly scheduled basis. They can be issued a volunteer identification. There are also community partner volunteers. They're a staff person from a community organization. And the third type of a volunteer is a placement student, and a student that's enrolled in a recognized, accredited post-secondary educational program. Two goals I had as a chaplain were to recruit, train, deploy, supervise, and evaluate all those who come into this institution as chaplaincy staff, field placement, and/or summer students, volunteers, and professional visitors in order to ensure the provision of adequate and appropriate religious rights and spiritual care to inmates and/or staff and their families. The second goal, to promote and develop the ministry of community faith groups in the provision of adequate and appropriate religious rights and spiritual care to inmates who have been released into the community. The fourth aspect of what we do as chaplains is related to administration. The administrative aspects of client-related, staff-related, and supervisory activities are tucked into their respective subcategories above. What remains reflects the necessary paperwork that a chaplain must do, maintaining a record or a logbook of all activities that they do as a chaplain, and also report writing. It's impossible to sum up the variety of things that happen to a prison chaplain each week. For me, it was the unexpected miscellaneous opportunities that came my way that added spice to my service. Here's what made up a typical day for me as a chaplain. First, you arrive at your office, and it's the boot up process. You turn your computer on, and computer system takes a while to get up and running, and get signed in and open all the apps that you normally use. And then I would go out and gather requests. So it'd be a walk through the building, and I'd gather requests and referrals, and I would have incoming studies that came late in the day before, and I would be delivering them in the different areas that I would visit. I'd come back and respond to email and phone messages. I would log and triage the requests and referrals that I picked up on my walkabout. I would update the smudge list and the diet sheet. I'd prepare for the morning program if there was one. I would attend the morning manager's meeting. I would gather clients and run my program. I'd respond to referrals and requests. I'd make appropriate referrals for the requests received. I would generate and distribute lists for all the programs that would be offered that day. I would meet any volunteers coming in during the day and help them get their clients out for their programs. I would log program attendance and volunteer attendance. I'd make sure that chaplaincy resources were adequate. And the general put out fires, not literally, but there's always things that arise, and you just have to deal with them as you can. My work as a chaplain was very reactive, responding to a constant flow of requests and referrals, phone calls and emails demanding my time, so much so that it's difficult to find time to be proactive and innovative. In conclusion, I would like to read a letter from an inmate to the church. The first slide of 6 says, "I am an addict, searching basically for something. Sometimes I think it's a sense of belonging, or maybe someone or thing to love me. Maybe listen or just say everything will be okay. Not really sure what today will bring and don't want to venture beyond today. I'm so scared. Of what? Not sure. Maybe rejection, not being good enough. Maybe I'm just bad and there's no real hope. But then the past comes, and I remember someone back then speaking of a love, and I keep going on. Where do we find it? Those of us on the streets, in shelters, lonely and afflicted. I know I was told God is love, but if that's true, and He works through people on the streets looking for my kind, why are we seeking answers and only the devil is there to encourage us? Stop. Please stop being afraid of us, people, the drug addicts, the alcoholics, prostitutes, etc. Instead, pray for us and then let God lead you to us and come and sit or stand and tell us we are loved. We're special. There is a way out. Don't worry, I'm not, nor is anyone, no, nor is any other hurting person contagious. Many times sitting outside a church, I've often been told to get away made made to feel dirty, when in fact I should have been told, come in if you'd like, or even you are loved, and go in and pray for me. These are scary days for me. I know about the Bible, but I can't grasp the totality of it. I want it so bad. It's the how do I get there that's the hardest part to get, especially when you have three churches around and in the middle you've got these people suffering from addiction, mental issues, alcoholism, etc. And the only thing there is the sight fan that gives out needles, crack pipes, etc. In fact, there should be someone telling all of us we are definitely loved from God. Please, if only for someone else's benefit, go from your comfort zone and find one or more of these kinds of people, and if only say some words of encouragement to them. Make someone smile. Who knows, maybe with your smile today, you've saved a life, or even better, brought one to Christ. I remember one of those times on Murray Street, smoking crack outside of the church beside the shelter, and hearing the singing coming out of there. I wanted to go in the church, but not alone, so I gave a couple of my using acquaintances some crack just to accompany me inside. It was great. We sang and I had fun. Hopefully, I thought maybe God could help one of these using buddies. I'm so afraid. Can you pray not for me, but for the ones still out there? Will you walk among the sick, the hurting, etc.? Be more like Jesus. Stop keeping His love in the church. Bring His love. Share it. Stand or sit with someone. If they don't want your presence, they'll let you know. But think about what would Jesus do. Pray and read it in His Word. Ask Him for the words and the protection as you go amongst us, suffering, sick, lonely, hurting, etc. Maybe as simple as making little baskets to bring with you, or a small box of Timbits. Even just you with Jesus' love would be enough. You don't have to preach a sermon. You just have to have God's direction. Say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and it's so nice to meet you. I'm from, and say where you're from. As people of God, you have a duty not only to your church family. Well, anyways, who am I to preach to you? Thanks for listening. Maybe one day we'll meet. God knows I'd love to say I'm going to heaven, but the way I am now, I'm not sure if I'll get there, and it scares me. I'm begging for guidance and direction, but I search and I can't find it. Where do I go? Who do I go to? All the answers, I'm told, are in the big book. Please pray and then act. Here are two photos of the person who wrote that letter to the church. It's Shannon Sargent being baptized on the 18th of December, 2008. What a joy, a frequent flyer making changes in her life. And then to have this happen. Jail inmate was due to be released from detention center on day of her death. Corrections is full of horrible circumstances which affect staff. Deaths, riots, any number of things. And then there's the bad press. OCDC was called by the union president the worst jail in Ontario. Carleton University has barred its placement students from coming to OCDC now. Chaplains are there in the middle in the good times in order to be there in the bad times to offer support as staff members go through this, as inmates go through this. Chaplains are incredible resources for clients and correctional officers and management. We have networks in the communities and with other chaplains. We can help the institution, and we contribute to the intel that helps the operation of the institution. I even made a suggestion to the Solicitor General that they should consider corporate chaplains for their head office and for OPP detachments. The final slide was the question and answers. Thank you for the invitation to your meeting this afternoon. Thank you for all that you do in each of your roles. May God continue to guide you through all that we are facing as a ministry. Stay safe and healthy.